You're listening to Nice-ish, a podcast about reality TV and your opinions, with your hosts, Cindy and Grace.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 50 of Nice-ish. I'm Grace, and I'm here with my co-host and mom, Cindy. Mom, how's it going?
Good, we've reached 50.
I know. Can you believe it? We're so close to 52.
What's 52?
What? Isn't that how many? I thought we were... What? Is 52 not a relevant number?
You mean like 52 weeks in a year? So we've been doing it a year? Or...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that was just
why'd
odd.
you make me seem like I was an idiot?
'Cause we
You made
reached
me
50.
second guess myself.
50, hooray. Oh, yeah, but we're almost at 52. Like, okay.
That's a year. Okay, well, no, then I literally started thinking it wasn't a year, and I was like afraid to say that I thought that was a year.
It's just weird, but yeah, I can't wait for 52.
Well, that's a year. That's a significant number.
Okay. Yeah. It was poorly explained.
It was not. You made me second guess myself, and then I got all nervous. But anyway, would you like to talk about your weekend that you've had?
I've had a rough weekend.
Yes.
On Thursday, I had to do prep for a colonoscopy on Friday. And I had a colonoscopy like 5 years ago, and it didn't go well. Like the stuff to drink, the prep stuff was like impossible for me to get down. It's that disgusting. And I think anybody who's ever had one for whatever reason knows how bad it is. And I had to drink the stuff like within an hour, and I was going on 4 hours and I could not finish the stuff. So needless to say, I got back a very poor evaluation on my, colonoscopy from 5 years ago.
That was so funny.
Yeah. So I had to go back again, and I talked my doctor into letting me take the pills.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is going to be a piece of cake. Yes, there's a lot. There's 24 pills, and you have to take 12 the day before and then 12 the day of.
Mm-hmm.
And so my colonoscopy was going to be at noon on Friday. So they're like, start at 5 p.m. and take 12 pills, try to down them all within 20 minutes. And they're rather large pills.
Yeah, they're like almost the size of a Mucinex pill, which those are known for being fairly big. So,
yes. So they wanted me to take 12 of them in 20 minutes. And I set the timer, and I'm like hauling ass. I downed all 12 in 9.5 minutes.
Yeah, when you said 20 minutes for the instructions, I just thought, this seems like a really bad idea to put a actual number on here, because that's going to make people go faster than I think they really need to. Like, because when you feel pressure to do that, it's like...
But the instructions did say if you're feeling nauseous to slow down. And I'm thinking, nauseous from swallowing a pill? Like, that's not going to happen. So what is it? Do I go fast and get them done, or do I not? Well, I went fast. I got them done. Felt fine. And then like 30 minutes later, I kind of look at you. I'm like, I'm not feeling so well.
Oh my God.
And then 45 minutes in, I run to the bathroom. This is going to be a little graphic. I'm sorry, people. I made it to the tub, and it was like somebody popped the cap off of a fire hydrant. I threw up so hard. And I'm like, okay, this isn't good, because I don't know if within 45 minutes my body had had enough time to absorb the medicine.
Right.
I could taste the medicine.
Gross.
And it was all water. And so I thought, oh, this can't be good.
Well, that's why you got nauseous, is because you drank so much water with all the pills. Now, you have to drink a lot of water, because how the hell you're going to take 12 pills with,
large pills.
Yes. So you needed that. So I don't really understand how most people could take this without
It was setting me up for failure.
The odds were stacked against you. I'm going to be honest. You have a very weak stomach to begin with, and the odds were not in your favor.
I do. I can't take anything.
No.
I can't take like Vicodin for pain. I can't take codeine. I have an allergy to codeine. I have a huge allergy for fentanyl. They gave me fentanyl when I slipped a disc in my back, and I was vomiting for 4 days straight.
Yeah.
So there's very little I can take. I think God felt sorry for me, and he's like, ibuprofen, Cindy, this is for you. This is made for you.
Somehow you could take 4 of those, but, you know, anything stronger.
I try not to abuse it, but,
Right.
you know. Anyway, so that all came up. I gave myself like 2-3 hours to see if it's going to kick in, and it did not.
No.
And so you're like Googling shit, and you're like, okay, this whatever medical website says you can take 3 Dulcolax, and that's like the equivalent. And so you're like, let me run to CVS and I'll bring it back.
I was so annoyed. I was literally like, as I was going there, I thought, this bitch can't take these 12 pills. What is wrong with her? She can't take anything. This is so stupid. And then I'm literally in the car thinking, why'd she drink so much fucking water with all this? Like, this is ridiculous. Why'd she do this?
God.
Because literally as I was leaving, you fell asleep, and I thought, this bitch better be able to take all these laxative pills that I'm going to get her, because otherwise she's going to have to call tomorrow and be like, I can't come because I couldn't do it.
I had no idea you felt this way. Such hostility.
I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. And probably because it was like the timing too. If this was at noon and I had to go, whatever, it's fine. You have enough time. But I was literally on my way there at like 7:30. Like,
I'm
8.
so sorry that you had to go help your mother.
It was so ridiculous. So
Well,
I was like, oh
probably
my God.
should have started the prep work earlier. They said 5
It did
p.m.
say 5, yes, on the
But I
instructions.
should have started at noon, knowing me.
Right, yeah. And because you know what? I almost told you too. I was going to be like, maybe you should just take 6 at first. I know it says to take 12, but you can't handle it. So
I know. So I blame you.
Yeah, I blame myself. So yeah, I get to CVS there. It's like 8 o'clock, so nobody's in there, obviously. And so
Oh, now it's 8 o'clock? I thought it was 7.
No, I said like 7:30, 8.
There's no way it was 8 o'clock.
It was almost 8 o'clock.
Oh, God, whatever.
So anyway, no, but I was going in there and I was looking for like just the Dulcolax. And so I'm looking around and I'm looking at like the CVS brand stuff too. And I finally get to the ones at the bottom where they say like women's gentle laxative. And I was like, oh, there's ones made just for women. And it says on the box, formulated for women with sensitive stomachs. And I'm like, that's her. I'm like, okay, this is literally meant for you. So I got that one.
So you got me the cheap CVS brand. You didn't even get me the Dulcolax brand.
Dulcolax didn't have specialty laxatives for you, no. So I got the ones that say that they're gentle on sensitive stomachs. I'm like, the word sensitive is in there. Definitely going to be for you.
I'm a sensey.
Yes, you really, really are.
So you get back, I take the 3, and I was actually a little worried because nothing was going on.
Yeah, I was worried.
There was like
too.
no movement. It was probably 11 o'clock. And I'm like, Grace, nothing's going on. Let's just go to bed. I have to get up. Supposedly I was supposed to get up at 5 to take the other 12.
Right.
I was not going to do that. I was not going to take the 12 and risk throwing up again. And that's why I took the other 3. And I'm like, I already took 3 laxatives. I can't take more shit. This is going to wreck my body. So I thought, I'll get up though at 5 and see how I'm feeling. So we both go to bed. I'm literally covering myself with the sheets and I feel movement.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, are you kidding me? It's like 11:15 and this shit's going to start now. No pun intended. This is going to start now. So I texted you a picture of Dorinda saying, she's starting.
That's funny. Yeah.
And I was up from like 11:30 until 7:30 every hour. I'm like, this could not be worse. The timing is just awful. I could have done this all day long.
Right.
But no, nothing happened until 11:30 at night. So rough night. I'm exhausted. At 8 o'clock in the morning, I call the GI place and I'm like, hey, I don't know what I should do. I explain what happened. I'm like, I don't want to waste anybody's time. Should I come? Should I not come? And she's like, you still have a few more hours. Your colonoscopy's not till noon. Keep drinking water and come in. You didn't want to go yourself, so you asked Grandma to come with us.
Right.
And it went well. I got back a clean report. Nothing wrong.
God.
I don't have to go back for 10 years.
Hooray!
However, I have zero recollection from the time they kind of wheeled me into the room till how I got in my bed. Those 3 hours are completely gone. And I said to you, what happened? How did I get dressed? And you're like, Grandma went back there with you and she helped you and I went and got the car.
Right.
And I'm like, no recollection. I don't remember it at all. I don't remember her being back there. I don't remember getting dressed.
Yeah.
I don't remember you. I don't remember the car. I'm thinking, that's, a 25-minute ride home.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Did I sit in the front?
Yes. And you wouldn't shut up either. You were very chatty.
I tend to get chatty when I'm under sedation.
You do, which is weird because I don't feel like you're normally a chatty person either.
I know.
So it's funny.
So I wake up in my bed and I'm like, I wanted to talk about it with you. And I'm like, oh my God, this happened. And the doctor was lovely and this and that. And you're like, I know all this. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've heard this 5,000 times.
Yes.
What?
And then you called Grandma and you were trying to tell her the story. She goes, yeah, we know. Like, I know all this. You told me all this. You told me this while I was back there with you. And you told me again in the car.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
How weird is that? That like a huge chunk of something that happened during your day, you have zero recollection of.
I know. It is weird.
Yeah. So anyway, we've been talking about this for like 15 minutes, so I think we should kind of move on. But that was my weekend. The best part is that I don't have to see anybody or do this ever again. Well, 10 years.
Well, ever. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm already worried about it, and it's not for 10 years.
We'll be prepared the next time that it's in 10 years. We're
I'm
not
gonna need
dealing
2
with any of
days.
this shit. Yeah, I know. We're
Exactly.
getting laxatives or Miralax or we're doing something like that.
Yes, I'm fasting for 2 days.
Let's get into talking about this week's episode of The Valley. I thought it was a great episode. I thought there was a lot to talk about, but we're just going to pick 2 issues this week.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Danny and Nia and what half the cast wants to be their takedown season, it feels like.
It does feel that way.
And Brittany telling us that Jax owes back taxes and that he didn't pay for their mortgage for months. What a guy.
Okay, let's get into it.
So first we'll talk about Danny and Nia. And Jasmine and Melissa are kind of still struggling what happened with Danny here at the bar on Halloween. Do you think that Jasmine is still in the right to like not be okay with it? Does it matter how long ago it was? Because we kind of find out that this was about a year ago. Like it's had some time here.
Right, and that he's apologized multiple times. How I feel seems to be a bit different than social media because I'm of the mindset that if she's not okay with it yet, she can talk about it for as long as she wants to. And hearing her talk about it seemed way more traumatic than I thought. I mean, she was in tears. She was upset. I think a lot of it wasn't just the touching, but that it came from a friend that she trusted. So she's having a lot of issues with it. I mean, I think most women, if not all women, have had a situation like this where you were touched by somebody you did not want to touch you. And it doesn't necessarily mean in a sexual way, but just somebody getting too close to you or some stranger who put his hand on your shoulder or whatever. Like, don't touch me. You have no right to touch me.
Right.
So I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, look, she's not ready. She's not okay with it yet. But then I read a response that you grabbed from someone, and it did change my mind a little bit where I'm more open to it.
Yeah, I grabbed a post from you that said, I love Nia and Danny too, but Jasmine can talk about this until she feels better about it. The first words out of Danny's mouth to Jason were, I'll talk to her again. I hope they work it out, but Jason is being a dick, and they're villainizing Danny when we have Jax.
Mm-hmm.
And even, you didn't even mention Jesse either. We're talking about Jax.
Oh, I know,
We got
right?
2 terrible men on here.
Right.
But yes, the response that you're referring to was from Allie B, who said, I agree as long as she hadn't accepted Danny's apology 3 times already. If she wasn't ready to let it go, her response to all the apologies should have been, I appreciate it, but I'm not ready to accept.
And that's perfectly acceptable. That changed my mind a little bit. I don't think Jasmine's doing anything wrong because she's just not there yet. However, I understand what Allie's saying. Don't keep telling him you're good. It's fine if it's not fine.
Right.
Just say, look, I appreciate you coming to me. I'm not ready to have this conversation yet. When I am, I'll come to you and then we can talk about it. That seems fair.
I think that's fair too, especially if you're talking with men as well and you tell a dude that you're fine and that thank you for the apology. They're not going to read more into it. They're going to be like, what? I apologize. Like, you still want to talk about it? I actually thought Danny was very...
receptive?
Yes. Very, very receptive to the fact when Jason said she's still got an issue, I'll talk to her.
Yes.
Like, okay, he didn't say why or what would she have it for. It was, okay. We'll talk about it again. And I think it's kind of hard with being on a reality TV show like this with having seasons because reality TV, your emotions are expected to go much faster. Like, we're not going to talk about something that happened a season ago. Then it's like, that's old news.
Right.
Like, we want to keep moving on. And I think the other problem is that I think why people want Jasmine to get over it quickly too is because we love Nia so much and we hate Janet and that other side. Like Janet, Michelle, they're so miserable. I don't want to accept that side of anything.
And it seems like Jasmine is on that side.
And it seems that way. So now which seems terrible because I get that 2 things can be wrong, but I'm struggling with that because I'm like, ugh. Why are you with them? You think what they think. Like when Nia was pouring her heart out to you and you guys are like, is this, intentional? Did you purposely say that? And I'm like, okay, I really don't care now. Now you've lost me in how you feel because now I'm like, oh my gosh, if you think that, then are you willing to accept anybody's apology? Are you willing to anything? So,
and I agree with what you said too, where you're like, men don't read into anything. So if they say, I'm sorry, and you're like, oh, I accept your apology, it's done for them. They're done. It's over. No, we're good. Mm-hmm. So for him to have already apologized 3 times, how are we not good? They don't even question it. Whereas women, we question everything. Mm-hmm. So I understand that as well. I just think we need to be fair to Jasmine too. She did nothing wrong in this situation.
Agreed.
Danny touched her thigh, said, call me daddy, and then touched her girlfriend's ass.
Yes.
If he touched Michelle's ass and Jesse found out, there'd be hell to pay. So, they're kind of laughing it off.
Right.
So that kind of pisses me off too. Now I'm getting pissed. But so let's not, act like Jasmine did anything wrong. Danny did. He apologized. She wasn't ready for it. Now she is.
Yeah.
But it seemed like they had a really good talk too.
So we have Jasmine's issue with Danny here. And then it also kind of seems like Janet has her own feelings that she's trying to like pile on here. Mm-hmm. And because she says that when they were in Santa Barbara that she walked into the pantry and saw Danny in there with the door closed and says that he was chugging a bottle of tequila. And Danny's like, well, I was taking a swig of it. And I feel like this is what Janet does, and this is why she's really good at kind of manipulating the situation here. Because did what she say happened? Technically, yes. But the word chug implies he was drinking half the bottle, like he was trying to literally down it all in one sip.
Yes.
Swig means, oh yeah, I took I took a sip or two from the bottle.
Right. That's exactly right. So she wants to frame the situation so that everybody thinks what she's putting out, which was that he was back there chugging it like you'd chug a beer and downing the whole thing, when actually he's like, oh, I'm here to get a White Claw. I'll take a sip of this tequila. And he takes a swig, which was his words, swig, puts it down, grabs his White Claw and leaves. She's trash. I hate her.
I hate her too. And there are people that you love to hate, which is fine on some shows, that, you need them there for a reason. She does not need to be here for any reason. I think she just causes more problems. And then I think she causes problems indirectly through her husband, Jason, because he was being a total dick this whole episode. And it's like, buddy, where are you on your opinion? Because you're telling Danny at first that you're like, I don't think it was a big deal. I think if it was Janet, I'd be like, yeah, I'd say the same thing. She's sleeping, go to bed, sleep it off. I don't think there's anything in it. Then the next time you see him, you tell him, dude, I think you have a problem. And his face, Danny's face, literally, when he said it was like, what? What are you talking about? That's not what you told me. That's not what you said to me. And then he comes back and apologizes to Danny and is like, it kept me up at night. I feel bad. Like, all that. Very heartfelt. Like,
almost tears.
Yes. And then Danny's like, okay, yeah, we're good. And then you switch back to the same narrative that you have a problem.
He has his feelings, and then he has what Janet tells him to feel.
Right.
So he keeps flip-flopping because that's not what he truly thinks, what Janet's saying. But he has to back her.
Right. Because then he's like, well, first I feel one way in the minute, and then I think about it, which is code for then I talked to Janet about it. And she told me how to feel. And then I, changed my mind. I'm like, okay, like, dude, it's not hard to see that that's what's happening here. Like, just stand in your own opinion, dude.
I agree. And you know who else seems to have a problem is Brittany.
God. Yeah, she's annoying too. And she has literally no room to talk. Because she, I feel like, has the same relationship to alcohol that Danny has, which is, like, I'm not saying that they're alcoholics. You're not dependent on alcohol. Like, you're not drinking every day because you need to, feel the effects of it. But when they want to go out and party and have a good time, they just kind of can't control it. And then with Brittany, she gets sick and feels not well.
Because she drinks too much.
Yes, because she drinks too much. So it causes her to either throw up or just, massive acid reflux, all that
not
stuff.
Feel well.
And then Danny ends up, not remembering shit and
then doing stupid shit.
And then doing things. I mean, last season, Jax brought up her drinking constantly, and she's like, I don't have this problem. Yes, I drink when I go out with my friends and all that stuff, but I don't have a problem. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not this and that. And you hated that was attacked on you.
Right.
And I just feel like this is the same thing. And it's like the only person that can have a problem with it is Jasmine. She's the only one, other than all of you idiots piling on.
Right.
You
Shut
don't
the fuck
need
up.
to. Yes. Jasmine can have her own issue. That's fine.
I completely agree. I think Brittany calling it out is hilarious.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for them. I think it's really, I don't know if it's a deflection, if Brittany just wants it off her and Janet's Brittany's friend. So she's like, let's just throw it on Danny and
Seems
Nia.
like it.
Or if they're jealous of the relationship the two of them have. I don't know, but I'm tired of it. And I actually don't really think anybody's buying it.
No, I don't think so either. So the other issue that we'll talk about is that Brittany let it spill that Jax hadn't paid the mortgage on their home in months. And originally in the episode, she said May to August, but then we watched the after show, which is on Peacock if anybody wants to watch it. And in the after show, she corrected herself by saying that she moved out in January with Cruz to her Airbnb, and then Jack stopped paying in February. So that's actually 7 months. That's how she came up with that over $100,000. That's how she came up with that number.
That was a large figure, and we're like, wait, what? But nope.
Right.
Seemed accurate.
Right. So then we also figured out, because we're like, wait a minute, how could this add up? Because she also mentioned that Jax hadn't paid his own actual personal taxes for 6 years. And then we're like, okay, got it. So this is how this number racked up to be so much so quickly.
Yeah, on the after show, Brittany had said that their mortgage was around $8,000 and now they pay $18,000. Yeah. And we're kind of like, $10,000 more? What are you talking about? And apparently, Jax had the home refinanced to include all of the money they owe. They like got this special cash out or something where they got money to pay their taxes, but then their mortgage rate went up to pay back the money that they took out. So, and then I think his quote was, "I fixed it."
God, he's such a moron,
I fixed it, and then I moved out and rented my own space so Brittany and my son could live here. That's the kind of guy I am.
I love also how he says, too, like, who doesn't have problems like this? I'm like, well, the people that do are in jail, so that's going to be you next here if you don't pay your shit here, buddy.
Oh, my God. He's so delusional.
He is delusional, and I actually don't really know when he applied for another lease on an apartment how he was accepted at all. Because wouldn't they look through all this stuff and be like, hey, you haven't paid in 7 months. We don't really want to give you this.
Oh, and you just refinanced your home.
Yeah.
You owe more than it's worth.
Right. So I don't know who would let him live anywhere.
Because those numbers of what he owes on his taxes were
They're
in the
scary.
hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
Because someone replied to one of my posts with actual numbers that they looked up.
You had posted about this, and you had said, OMG, Jax didn't pay his taxes for 6 years, so Britt said their mortgage payment was $8,000, and now it's $18,000 because of his taxes. And then you said, yeah, he said I fixed it. But the response that you're referring to is from Politicky Chicky, who said the unpaid taxes were from 2014 to 2019, and Jackson and Brittany got married in 2019. Awesome. Smart on you to,
I know, right?
not look into that.
Would you marry a guy who hasn't paid his taxes in 5 years?
No.
Going into the 6th year?
God, no. Even Gretchen was smart enough to not marry Slade. Like, you can't be this smart to look into something like this.
Oh.
Like, my God.
His debt becomes your debt, fool.
Yes, God. So that was about a 5-year span there. Then the taxes were before they got married, and it's easy to Google. The amounts include roughly $23,000, $118,000, $72,000, almost $200,000.
I know.
And $646,000.
It's insane.
These numbers are high.
How on earth would you think Jax was going to pay those off? And Brittany's like, I do. I really do. I take
so
you.
Stupid. And it's like, you shouldn't have even married him after he cheated on you. Why you were still together, I don't know. But these numbers are insane.
This is worse.
It is worse, honestly. Because now you're legally tied to this.
Now, I don't know if she's legally responsible for his debt before they got married.
Oh, that's true.
I don't
Maybe
know.
not.
I don't think so. However, this last one in 2019, when he filed, they were married in 2019. So I don't know.
No, but the thing is, though, is that this is where I think Jax was, I don't want to say that he was smart, but this is where he was sneaky, is because you put it into the mortgage of your house. Now it is.
Yes.
So that's what it is. It wouldn't have been.
But she's responsible for half the mortgage.
Yes. So that's why he did that.
What a bastard. And everything he does to Brittany, he literally does to Cruz.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because you had made a post that said, damn, Jack's not paying the mortgage from May to August after making his wife and kid move out because he wouldn't leave, then going and signing a lease for an apartment next to Schwartz. If only there were warning signs. And then you got a response from keeping_Kevin that said, all this BS about his son. If Jax really cared about his son, he would have been the one to leave the house, not Brittany and Cruz. Jax is so full of shit. Which he is. Oh my God. He doesn't care about anybody but himself.
That's literally it. He decides to finally leave when he hasn't paid the mortgage in 7 months. What a great guy. You made her... He was even complaining about the Airbnbs Brittany was staying at, that she paid for herself with her own money, but she paid more because she wanted Cruz to have a pool. So she's like, I'm willing to pay more out of pocket because he loves his pool. That's his comfort. That's what he loves. And they have a pool in their home. But Jax was so selfish that he wouldn't leave. And now that he owes all this money, he's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to pay this little smaller lease on an apartment here. You can have a home. I hate this guy. I hate him.
Yeah. I don't really know if there's medication for something like this. Can you actually be diagnosed with narcissism and actually take something for it? Is that a thing? Or are you just an asshole like that?
And, you know, a lot of people throw out narcissists. Lala says it all the time about people.
Yeah.
But Jax commented on the after show that he took the test and scored really high. He, like, admitted it.
Yes. So, I mean, he 100% is. That's not even, you know, a doubt in my mind. I get that people use that as an insult, you know, when they're annoyed at somebody.
Yeah.
But he 100% has narcissistic tendencies.
But you know who he has in his corner? Jason.
Oh, geez. I thought you were going to say Jesse and Schwartz.
Well, those two idiots just sit there and kind of nod.
Right.
But then on the after show, Jason doubled down too.
Yeah.
And said something like, you know, when you're in a bad headspace with depression, you can't always function. So he gets to fuck Brittany over, ruin her credit, ruin all the stuff, take all the money, spend it on the, you know, all this shit. And hey, you know what? Jason thinks it's okay.
I know, right? Do you honestly think this guy is depressed at all? Like, you think this fucking guy is so, you know, in his own head and so depressed about where his life is? No, he's not.
He literally said why he stopped paying. He said, I stopped paying when I found out she was dating Julian.
That's exactly what happened.
It was revenge.
I know. So it's like...
Shut the fuck up, Jason. You're an idiot.
Yes, he's an absolute idiot. So we are going to very briefly talk about the Summer House reunion because really nothing happened that we have not talked about all season, even so far as to go back to last season with Sierra and West and that news article that came out about how he wasn't interested in Sierra anymore.
I can't believe they brought it up again.
God, why? Why are we back here?
It was torture. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't care anymore.
No.
I actually didn't care about Jesse and Lexi anymore. I realize this is the reunion, but there's nothing else to say.
No, there isn't, because every episode this season kind of almost felt like a reunion because they were all together and they all talk about it,
yes,
like at the dinner table and stuff. So to me, that sort of suffices as a reunion.
I agree. So, all right, good talk.
Right. We saw Imrul, and that was about it. I wondered if he was going to come out.
Poor guy. Why was he not out there from the beginning?
That was also weird because he was a full-time cast member.
He was a full-time cast member. I don't care if you edited him out.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been there.
Yeah.
And whether or not you intend to bring him back, he should have been out there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really shitty.
I thought it was shitty, and I thought his story, I was kind of like, oh, I feel kind of bad for you, because hearing that his family didn't even want him at their son's birthday party.
His nephew.
Yeah. Why on earth? Like, would
because
this
he has
show
a lot of sex?
Right, I know. Who cares? Like, because that's how they're saying that they portrayed him and that he, you know, didn't like it. And
I would have been horribly, horribly disappointed in a sibling if they said that to me.
I know.
My in-laws don't want you there. I'm sorry, stick up for me. You know me.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, I felt so bad for him.
Like, what does it matter what you do on this TV show and who you have sex with? It doesn't. I don't care.
Don't do it in front of your son.
Well, right. Yeah, I know. Unless it's that. But so other than that, though, I just didn't feel like we got any new information of any kind or anything worthy to talk about, really.
Nothing to talk about.
Yeah, that we haven't already. So if you want to know our opinions, you can go back and listen to other episodes. Pick one. I guarantee you we'll be talking about it in every single one. Let's get into this week's episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Okay.
So this is the episode where they end up going on their cast trip to Grenada. So we're kind of just going to pick and choose a little bit here from the episode. It was good, but there weren't any like huge moments. So we'll just kind of go over a little bit.
Honestly, yeah, there wasn't anything noteworthy that I'm like, oh yeah, this happened.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that.
Okay. So we'll talk about first then the whole like Portia and Drew thing and their dentist situation here. How this guy ended up as the
focal point.
Yeah, it's insane to me. Thought we were done with this guy, but okay. So they end up actually talking about it before they get to Grenada and in Grenada when they're all sitting at the table there for dinner. What are kind of your thoughts on this whole scenario in general? Because in Grenada, Drew, I feel like, kind of ends up hearing Portia's side and does apologize. And then Portia, I think, I don't know, maybe she gets it, maybe she doesn't, but I feel like they ended in a decent place. How do you feel about that?
I think that maybe Drew finally realized that you don't take Dennis's word that he talked to Portia and it was okay. And I know Drew said she reached out to Portia a couple times and Portia just didn't get back with her. It was probably because you're just like, hey, can we talk? You know, you needed to say, Dennis wants to film with me. And then she would have gotten back to you in like 2 seconds.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm kind of on Portia's side with this. I don't think it's cool to film with the father of her kid. And I think she should have, you know, given her the heads up or at least asked her. And so I think Drew was the one that kind of overstepped. But it did seem like Portia is just kind of tired of the whole thing. So she's like, you know what? I'm fine.
Well, and it's like, you tried to film with Ralph. Don't say that you weren't trying to be petty. Like, it's fine if you were. Like, just admit it. That's all I would like from these women. Just admit it, you know? If you're doing something a bit shady, just say that. Don't be like, well, I didn't know he was going to be there. Are you kidding me?
Of course you knew. But the thing is Drew felt some kind of way about it.
Right.
So it's like, well, now you should kind of get how Portia was feeling.
Yeah.
You may not have done it to be petty. Portia absolutely has the right to feel a certain way about it. And so Drew kind of, you know, got a little taste of how it felt. So
I would agree with that. I also think, though, that Drew and Dennis are not an item.
No.
There is nothing about Drew's reaction to me when Portia kept saying it that was like, Drew's lying about this or something. As a matter of fact, every single time Portia would say, you're dating him or you're hooking up with him or whatever, she corrected her.
Yes.
Like every time. So to me, that would imply, no, don't even say it once because I'm going to correct you every single time.
And I don't want that out there.
Yes, I don't want that out there. Yeah. Like, I'm not dating anybody. Don't say I'm dating anybody. I'm not. And I'm certainly not hooking up with Dennis. So.
And Dennis is kind of a chatty Cathy. I mean, he's telling Portia all this different stuff.
He's the problem.
Telling Portia who Drew supposedly is dating and stuff. It's like, this guy is a pain.
He is a pain. That's the moral of the story, is that Dennis is the problem.
Yes.
The next thing that I'll just touch on here, too, it was just funny to me, but the women decided to all bring donations with them on their trip to Grenada to help out, like, the surrounding islands that got hit by the hurricane, which was wonderful. I mean, you literally saw all the boxes that Shamia had in her garage and everything. So tons and tons of stuff. But what was funny about it was that Britt came over after, and she brings like this box that you would think looks fairly big, and she comes in and it's just like, oh yeah, you know, I have some guy, I don't know who she said was bringing over stuff later, this phantom man that we don't know, I guess, was coming by later to bring more stuff. But in this box that she had, it was only like 3 rolls of toilet paper and like some filler stuff, like to make the box look big, like, you know, more full than it was. And it was like, Shamia's looking through it like, what?
Thanks.
Thanks. I swear she probably took those toilet paper rolls from the country club too. I guarantee you that's where everything came from. It's probably all from there.
Yeah, I didn't buy the whole someone's coming over later. Shamia's like, well, we need everything in an hour, so you better, you know, get it here. There really wasn't anything there.
Well, Britt claimed too, she's like, oh yeah, Shamia's text was late notice. I'm like, late notice? Everybody else was fine. What do you mean yours was late notice?
Yeah.
Because everybody else got all of their donations in time, but you. I'm like, okay, it's because you had nothing to donate. So don't, you know.
Or you didn't want to.
Or you did. Could have been that. Well, no, I actually think it's because you couldn't. Because did you see her? She could only afford food for like their table. There is absolutely no way. She's not giving out donations to anybody.
She's taking donations.
Yes. They're all going to her.
She's like, hey, Shamia, can I look through some of these boxes?
And the reason why I'm bringing up this specific part in this episode is because after looking at the sneak peek, I think it's going to get brought up again by Shamia. So, God, I can't. This was so funny. And so it does look like this will be an ongoing issue.
Yeah, next week looks like things kind of kick off. Because today was fine.
It was trying to be about resolution.
Right. But I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah. Lastly, we'll talk about Love Hotel from tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And on this episode, they had friends of all of the housewives come in and kind of basically assess the men and see who they thought was good for their friends. Or, I mean, in Shannon's case, it was her daughters.
I liked this idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're in the middle of something like this, it's hard to know if you're thinking correctly, if you're like not seeing things, or if you are looking too hard at something and it's really not that serious. So I think having a close friend or your daughters that know you really well to be able to kind of be like, no, I think you're on the right track, or what do you see in this guy, would help a lot. So I liked this idea.
Well, then let's just go into each person and just kind of go through the men that they're with right now and kind of what you think about everybody.
Okay.
We'll start with Luann because she had Cynthia come in too, which I thought
Cynthia was so great.
Yeah, I thought she was great too, because Luann was kind of deciding between Mark and James as to who to keep pursuing.
Mm-hmm.
And so Cynthia was like, okay, well, I think you should go out on this date with Mark instead of James. And so, honestly, I don't think the date went well. I loved that Cynthia was really open and honest with both of them and was like, I think you're better as friends. I don't see this as a relationship. Do you see what Cynthia sees?
I 100% see it. I thought it was great that they did this flashback where Mark immediately said to Luann when they were first meeting, I'm here for fun.
Right.
And so that turned her off immediately.
Which is interesting because Luann is normally known for fun. But yeah.
But I think when she finally meets that one guy that she goes nuts over, that she would lock it down.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think she has. Even with James, I think they have a connection, I guess, or an attraction. I don't think he's like her soulmate or anything like that. And I don't think she does either.
Yeah.
But I don't like Mark. I think it was a huge red flag when he said he dates younger women, and I'm guessing much younger.
Yeah,
He
I
wouldn't
know.
he wouldn't give a number.
Right.
And then he said he'd never dated someone Luann's age, even though he's attracted to Luann. So he just seems a bit of a playboy. And Luann pegged it too. She's like, I've been there, done that. And I don't think he's for me.
Right. So I'm going to assume that, next week she probably either sends Mark home, maybe, unless it gets bad with James here because...
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What do you think of James?
Well, at first I didn't mind their relationship. I mean, he was willing to steal for her, so I...
Right.
So that was sweet. But I don't know. She didn't love that he was touchy-feely with Cynthia, but I didn't get the vibe of
No, he wasn't interested in her.
No, he's not interested in Cynthia. But I feel like Luann almost wanted a way to be
Cut him
mad
loose?
at him a little bit. Yeah, because
Well-
I think she had kind of heard, though, that, hey, James is kind of claiming you. And I
He
don't
is
think that
awfully
she
possessive.
liked that. So I think after she heard that, she was just kind of like, okay, maybe I need to have him back off a little bit.
See, she strikes me as the type that likes an aggressive man
Right.
to come for her.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I just don't think it's James. That's who she's with now, but she's not the sexual tension isn't there, I don't think. She's just kind of with
Are you
him.
sure? Because I think she had sex
Yeah,
with
I
him.
know, but I don't think it was because she just can't live without him.
Right, yeah.
She just did because he was there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't see her leaving with anyone as her boyfriend.
No, I don't either. I will be honest. I mean, I don't know if I see anybody leaving with anybody, but,
Right.
just based off it. Because the show was actually only done in 3 weeks. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's quick.
So then we have Earl and Shannon. Obviously, we said that her daughters were there and kind of, were talking to him. I thought it was sweet that he brought them gifts at the very end there, too.
I did
But
too.
I don't know what her problem is, though, Shannon. This entire episode, the man is on a boat, and you're like, why does he have his shirt unbuttoned? He's in a swimsuit.
You're about to go swimming.
Yeah.
She's so fucking critical.
Oh, my God.
I can't take it.
And then she says that his flaw is that he can't take criticism. I'm like, oh, my God.
Well, you're giving it to him left and right. I mean, my feelings would be hurt too if everything you said to me was, a critique.
I know. I'd be like, I don't think you like me. And then it's like, do you? I don't know. Do you like him at all?
I don't know if she's trying to talk herself into liking him because she wants to have someone
Maybe.
or what. I don't really know, but I don't see this going anywhere, and there's no one else there for her.
No, I think she called him simple, too, a couple of times. Okay.
Simple because he had his shirt unbuttoned
Right. I'm like...
on a boat at the beach to swim.
It's not like they were at a dinner, like a formal dinner, and he
know.
shows up like that. Then I'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe. But I'm like, you're in a relaxed area, of a boat, and he's dancing to music, and you're like, why is he doing that?
I know. She
God
was
forbid
embarrassed.
you have a personality.
Yeah, they're not for each other. And
They
I
are
think,
not.
I think Earl's going to dodge a bullet here
God, yeah.
or dodge a car.
Oh, burn. Next, we'll talk about Giselle. She's kind of deciding between Phil and Theo. She seems like she has a better connection right now with Phil. That's what it seemed like at the start of the episode. But by the end of the episode, I was kind of thinking, I don't know, let's take another look at Theo again because he seems like a quiet, just decent guy.
I actually liked him right away.
Yeah.
I thought he seemed interested in her
Mm-hmm.
and interested enough that when Giselle asked him if he had ever dated a black woman and he said no, he then went back and did some research
Yes.
to see what kind of statistics there were
Yeah.
on black women dating white men.
Yeah.
And he said that relationship stat is like the best out there for staying together.
Right. Yeah.
And Giselle was really kind of impressed by this. Mm-hmm. I was too.
Yeah. And even when like all the friends showed up too, her friend Cal seemed impressed with Theo as well. But even though he didn't pick him,
Right.
which I wish he had.
I do too. I think Phil gave some red flags on their date.
Yeah.
When he said he was a bit he literally said he was controlling.
I know.
And I thought, whoa. And Giselle was turned off immediately. Did you see her face?
Yes.
It was all over her face that, okay, this is not going to happen. I was married to this person.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so, no.
Right. So hopefully she's done with Phil. I would like to see Theo given a chance there.
Same.
And then last, we'll talk about Ashley and the Ashley verse. Which is Ralph and Wale, which has been, it's been like this literally
like
since the beginning.
Ping pong.
I know. Ashley to me seems like she would really be into Wale, except he wants kids and she's not there.
Right.
So there's really no other option than Ralph.
What did you think of when Ashley's friend asked Wale about how he would do as like a step parent to her children? And he's like, well, it would depend on the kid.
I thought that was the stupidest answer you could give. What does the kid have to do with anything? You're the adult here, dude.
Right? So if the kid doesn't like you right away, it's,
Right.
get rid of your kid. Like, what the hell was that?
I thought that was the stupidest answer. And I'm thinking, you want to have kids, dude? Like, you don't want anybody. It just came off as very much like, I want my own kids and I don't want to be a step parent.
Very selfish.
Yeah. So I did not love that answer at all.
What do you think of Ralph for Ashley specifically?
I think he's the better option between him and Wale. I think that he would fit better with Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Ashley likes older men. I don't think it's necessarily an issue that she likes older men.
It doesn't make her a gold digger, because I've read that a couple times. There's nothing wrong with having a preference of older men.
And she clearly does. So she's already done that part of her life. She doesn't want kids anymore.
Right.
And so really anybody her age probably still does.
Right.
So.
And he's done with that, Ralph.
Yes.
So he can move where he wants. He can
Right.
go where he wants. So I do think they're a better fit too.
So Joel mentioned on this episode that we're kind of getting down here in days. There's only 3 days left. And so I would assume that their final picks are going to start to happen here soon. I don't know how many episodes, like 3 days would entail.
Right.
At the most, probably 3, but maybe only 2 even.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll see maybe, who everybody's starting to pick. I would imagine they're not going to add anybody new at this point. It's probably pick who you want and then maybe one final date, I guess.
Do you think that anyone is actually still dating?
Hell no.
I didn't even finish practically.
Hell no, absolutely not. Well, as a matter of fact, Ashley already had a boyfriend at home waiting for her, so she went to be with him.
It was really funny when they were bringing out the friends. You're like, oh God, wouldn't it be awesome if Josh came out as Ashley's friend?
Just checking in, seeing what's going on.
We have a really close relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I went to her drag show. We're really close.
Yeah, I don't know that I see anybody actually long term either.
No, nobody lives near anybody, and I don't think anybody really likes anybody all that much.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
I would agree.
I don't see it happening.
So this was just entertainment only.
100%, and I can't wait to see Luann back next season.
Same.
Thanks for listening to episode 50 of Nice-ish. You can follow us on Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, or Twitter at Nice-ish Podcast or at Love Cindy C. You can listen to Nice-ish wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Look for new episodes every Monday. Thank you for listening and have a nice-ish day.